Okay, welcome to the show. You're watching the Fox Business Network. Look who's back with us, National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd. Okay, Brandon, we love having you on. 2 illegal immigrants convicted of sex assault, 1 convicted of indecency with a child. ICE is so confused about Biden's deportation freeze that ICE almost accidentally released them into U.S. society. What's going on?
Yeah, Liz, this story isn't just frustrating, it's flat out scary, and it should scare the public. We have to be able to deport those individuals that have committed crimes against United States citizens. How many more Kate Steinleys do we have to have? There have been thousands of United States citizens that have been victimized by illegal aliens, but unfortunately, politics continue to come into play when we're talking about border security, when we're talking about the safety and security of the American public. We continue to put politics in front of what's best for U.S. citizens. That's not how the government's supposed to work. And I hope that there's going to be a large pushback by the American public when they see the numbers continue to rise on the border as people continue to flood across our borders illegally, not legally, illegally.
Yeah. We've got, you know, this is about, it's not about legal immigration. This is about crime. Border mayhem, human smugglers again endangering illegal aliens found packed inside things like refrigerated tractor trailers to try to sneak into the U.S. Nearly 140 illegals arrested coming into trucks, including a convicted sex offender. Pot smugglers tried to dump 600 pounds of pot into the Rio Grande River after they were caught. And then we have nearly $6 million worth of meth seized at the Laredo port of entry. And look at this, burritos. Branded burritos stuffed with Pharmapram, that's Mexican Xanax, seized at the El Paso, Texas border. There's a mayhem at the border, Brandon.
Liz, you nailed it when you said these people that are being put in refrigerator trucks, they're being put in U-Haul trucks. I have personally had to respond to aliens that have died on the border, and it's absolutely frustrating to see that liberal policies put these people in the hands of dangerous criminal cartels. They don't care about these people. They continue to put them in danger. It's all about profit, and our policies are what's allowing them to generate this profit. It just flat out doesn't make sense when you look at it at face value.
Okay. Let's listen to retired ICE acting director Tom Homan on this. Watch.
This isn't about public safety at all, because he says sex offenders are still a priority, but he hasn't done a thing about sanctuary cities. They're not going to honor ICE detainers, whether a sexual predator or not. This is a false narrative to the American people.
Your reaction?
Well, again, Kate Steinle, do we need to say more? We cannot have United States citizens that are being victimized by people that do not have a right to be here and should not be here. They need to be sent back to their countries of origin. We have to protect the American public.
Now we've got left-wing groups demanding President Biden tear down the entire border wall that was built under the Bush, Obama, and Trump administration. Your reaction to that? Because the Border Patrol keeps saying it's 75 to 100% effective in stopping crime at the border. Where it's not there, crime occurs. Your reaction?
The numbers bear out. When I patrol the border, when I put on a uniform and I go out and I patrol the border, if I have physical barriers, I have a much better chance of being effective. I have a much better chance to catch the human smugglers, to catch the dangerous criminals. When we do not have that same infrastructure, they're able to cross the border and they're able to get away. Our effectiveness level goes way down when we do not have infrastructure. We have to keep those border barriers in place.
Europe has them, Canada uses them, Mexico uses them. Brandon Judd, it's terrific to have you back on. Come back soon, okay? And thanks for your service to our country.
Thank you.